I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing all this out, but honestly, what else can I do? My name's Jake, and I was supposed to get married to Emily in a few weeks. We'd been together for about 3 years, and I thought everything was perfect, or at least close enough. She seemed happy, I was happy, and I never suspected a damn thing. But then, stuff started to feel off. Small things, really minor at first. Her phone suddenly more secretive, disappearing when I walked into the room, taking longer than usual to reply to texts, and little comments that made me wonder if she was hiding something. At first, I just chalked it up to stress. Work was hectic for her. She's a marketing exec at some fashion firm, and I figured maybe she was just overwhelmed. But then, she started to act weird about her phone. She'd lie about where she was going or say she was going out with friends, but her stories didn't add up. She'd get defensive quick if I asked too many questions, and her eyes would dart around like she was trying to hide something. That's when I started paying more attention, which I normally wouldn't do. One night I was lying in bed and I noticed her phone buzzing nonstop. Normally she'd just silence it and ignore it, but this time she left it face down on the nightstand. I didn't mean to, but I looked. The screen lit up with a message from someone named Tom. That's not exactly unusual, she had a few guy friends, right? But then I saw the message. Can't wait to see you tonight. I've missed you so much. Just that simple, innocent-looking text. But the way she quickly grabbed her phone and tossed it under the pillow told me everything I needed to know. That was my first real indication that something was going on. I didn't read the message right then. Something inside me just knew she was lying, hiding something. Over the next few days, I started to notice more. Her attitude towards me shifted in subtle ways, less affectionate, more distant, more defensive when I tried to get closer. She'd snap at me for no reason, brush off my concerns about her late nights or her secretive phone habits. I confronted her once, just a day before all hell broke loose. I asked about. Tom called him out directly, told her I knew she was seeing someone else. She looked me dead in the eyes and lied so convincingly I almost believed her. Said he was just a coworker, that I was overreacting, that I was paranoid, that she'd never do anything to hurt me. But then I found the proof. I was digging through her email because I didn't trust her, and honestly, I was desperate to know the truth, and I found the receipts. An email chain between her and Tom, full of flirtatious messages, plans to meet up, and even talk about their sex life. Yes, they had actual sex. I saw pictures she'd sent him, pictures of her in lingerie, her lying half-naked on our bed. The worst part, she was already pregnant, or at least I found out she'd been secretly pregnant for months. I'm not even sure how I managed to keep my composure after that. It was like my whole world just crumbled in an instant. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. The emotional shock hit me hard. I felt betrayed, stupid, humiliated. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face for so long? I kept asking myself if I even knew her anymore. I wondered how many nights she'd been with Tom, how many lies I'd been fed, and how long she'd been planning to keep the pregnancy a secret. The anger boiled inside me, but there was also this deep, aching hurt, like my heart was shattered into a million pieces. I wanted to scream, to cry, to do something, anything, to make her see what she'd done to me. But I just sat there, stunned, trying to process what I'd discovered. I knew I had to confront her again, face her with everything I'd found, and figure out what the hell I was going to do next. The moment I finally gathered the courage to confront her, I felt like I was walking into a storm. My hands were trembling, my mind racing with anger, betrayal, and a strange mixture of heartbreak. I called her into the living room, trying to keep my voice steady, but knowing I was about to lose it. She looked at me, that bitchy little smile playing on her lips, like she thought she could spin her way out of this. I could tell she was trying to act innocent even though she knew she was caught. "Emily," I started, voice low and tense, "I found your emails. I know about Tom, about the sex, about the pregnancy." Her eyes widened for a split second before she quickly recovered, brushing her hair back with that irritating little smirk. "Jake, what are you talking about? You're overthinking again. I don't know what emails you saw, but I swear," I cut her off. "Stop lying. I saw the pictures, Emily. The lingerie pictures, the messages. You've been lying to me for months. How long has this been going on? And the baby, that's his too, isn't it? She looked like she'd been hit, her face pale, then flushed with anger. Look, I didn't mean for it to happen. It's not what you think. Tom's just. He's been there for me, okay? When I was feeling alone, he was the only one who actually listened. It's not that simple. I felt my blood boil. Not that simple. You've been cheating on me with your boss, lying about everything, and now you're telling me it's not that simple. You're pregnant with his kid, Emily. I saw the ultrasound. How could you do this? How could you betray me like this right before our wedding? She scoffed and looked away, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Oh, please, you're overreacting. You think I planned all this. You think I wanted to hurt you. Maybe I was just lonely, Jake. Maybe I made a mistake. She paused, then added with a sneer, and just so you know, the baby's mine. I've been to the doctor, got tested. So don't come at me with your little accusations. That hit me like a punch to the gut. I wasn't prepared for that. I stared at her, feeling like I was drowning in a pool of my own shock and rage. How could she be so cold, so calculating? I wanted to believe her, I really did, but everything just didn't add up. The lies, the secretive texts, the pregnancy, this was no mistake. It was planned, it was deliberate. And she thought she could just brush it off like it was nothing. I wanted to smash something, to scream at her to get out. Instead, I just stood there, shaking, trying to hold myself together. My mind was racing, trying to piece everything together. How long had she been with Tom? Did she ever love me? Did she even care? The deeper I delved into her lies, the more I realized I was just a pawn in her game, a convenient husband-to-be while she was off messing around with her boss and hiding a pregnancy from me. The worst part was the way she looked at me, defiant, angry, like I was the one who betrayed her, like I was the problem, and all I could think about was how I was supposed to trust her again. How could I ever believe anything she said after this? How do you even recover from this level of betrayal? I wanted to believe I could forgive her, but part of me knew I was broken. I was done. The only thing left to do now was to figure out whether I could walk away or if I was going to stay and try to fix this mess. After that confrontation, everything shifted. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? My mind kept replaying her words, her expressions, the pictures I found, and that awful truth about the pregnancy. I kept asking myself if I had missed the signs, if I was blind or stupid for not seeing it all coming. The heartbreak was so deep I felt like I was drowning. I trusted her, everyone did. Emily was the girl you'd want to bring home to meet your family, the one who always made you feel special. But under all that, she'd been hiding this secret, this terrible lie, right in front of me. The next day, I decided I needed some space. I went to the park just to breathe, to clear my head. But every step I took, the pain followed. I kept thinking about her, about Tom, and about that baby. I couldn't wrap my head around how she could do this to me, to us. My friends kept telling me to just cut her out, to walk away, but I couldn't yet. Part of me still wanted to believe she might somehow come clean, admit she was wrong, and try to fix what she broke. But deep down, I knew that was wishful thinking. While I was sitting on a bench, trying to sort through my thoughts, I got a call from her. I didn't pick it up right away, but then she left a message. Her voice was defensive, almost bitchy. She said, "Look, Jake, I think you're blowing this all out of proportion." Yes, I lied, but I was confused. I didn't mean for it to get this far. I love you and I want to work this out. Just give me a chance to explain. That call made me angrier. How could she be so manipulative? She's lying her face off and she expects me to just forgive her because she says she loves me. That's bullshit. I knew I had to come up with a plan. Not just to confront her again, but to get some real answers, to see if there was any way I could trust her again, or if I should just wash my hands of the whole thing. I didn't want to make a rash decision, but I couldn't stay quiet either. I started digging through her social media, her emails, anything that might give me more clues. It was clear she was still hiding things, secret messages, late-night calls she deleted, conversations I never knew about. Every new piece of evidence made me more certain that this was not just a mistake or a one-time thing. This was her life now, her betrayal, her secret. And then I found out she had lied about where she had been last night. I saw her leaving a hotel in the middle of the night, her hair a mess, her face flushed. She told me she was at a coworker's house, pretending to be innocent. But I saw her with my own eyes, evidence that she'd been with Tom again. That was the moment I realized she didn't care about keeping this secret anymore. She was willing to risk everything just to be with him, even if it meant destroying whatever was left of us. That's when I started seriously thinking about what to do next. I couldn't stay in this limbo, not knowing whether she was lying or telling the truth. I felt sick just imagining what her life with Tom was like, her sneaking around, the pregnancy, the lies she told herself. And I wondered, could I ever really forgive her? Could I ever trust her again after all this? Or was it finally time to cut my losses and walk away? The truth was, I didn't know. All I knew was that everything I once believed in was shattered, and I was left trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces of a life I thought I understood. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became that I couldn't just sweep this under the rug or pretend it didn't happen. Every fiber of my being was telling me I needed to confront her again. This time, with everything I had. I couldn't go on living in this limbo, not knowing if she was truly sorry or just good at lying. I decided that the best thing I could do right now was to lay everything out on the table and see how she responded. If she was genuinely remorseful, maybe there was a way forward. If not, then I knew what I had to do. So I called her again, demanding she come over. I told her I needed to talk face to face, no more excuses, no more hiding. When she arrived, her expression was defiant, like she thought she could manipulate her way out of it again. I didn't hold back. I told her I knew about the affair with Tom, about the pregnancy, about all the lies. I told. Her eye was hurt, furious, and utterly betrayed. I asked her why she would do this to me, to us. She sat down, crossing her arms, and started to spin her usual bullshit. She said she was sorry, that she never meant to hurt me, that Tom was just a distraction, that she was confused, that she loved me but she felt lonely. Her words sounded rehearsed, hollow, and I could see right through her. She kept crying, trying to make me feel guilty, telling me how much she regretted everything. But all I could think was, regret doesn't undo what you did. Sorry doesn't fix this. I pressed her harder, wanting her to admit the truth fully, how long she'd been with Tom, how serious the pregnancy was, and whether she still planned to keep it. Her eyes flickered with anger and she snapped at me, calling me paranoid and insecure. That was the moment I realized she wasn't remorseful. She was just defensive, still playing her game. She was trying to make me doubt myself, to make me feel guilty for catching her. But I wasn't falling for it anymore. I told her she could leave, that I didn't want to see her face again until she was ready to be honest. That night I couldn't sleep. Every thought was a punch to the gut. I kept replaying everything, her lies, her tears, her sneering comments, her baby bump. I wondered if I should even bother trying to fix this, or if I should just walk away and cut my losses. The betrayal ran so deep I didn't know if trust could ever be rebuilt. Honestly, I felt like I was starting to see her for who she truly was, a manipulative, selfish woman who'd used me and then thrown me aside when she decided to chase Tom, and a kid she wasn't even ready to admit was hers. But part of me still clung to hope that maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to forgive her. Not because she deserved it, but because I didn't want to let this destroy me completely. I kept thinking about what I'd do next. Would I fight for her? Would I try to save what was left of our relationship, or was it already over? I was so torn I barely knew what was real anymore. All I knew was that I couldn't go back to pretending everything was okay. I had to decide, do I hold on to what's left, or do I finally let go of the girl I thought I knew? The days that followed were the hardest I've ever experienced. I stayed home more, trying to avoid her calls and texts, but every time I saw her face, it stirred up 1,000 conflicting emotions. There was rage, heartbreak, disappointment, and a strange, unshakable sense of loss. I kept asking myself how I could have missed all the signs, how I could have trusted her so completely and been so wrong. The trust, which once felt unbreakable, was now shattered into pieces I didn't even know how to pick up. I knew I had to make a decision. I couldn't keep living in this limbo, wondering if she was telling the truth or just pretending to be remorseful. I began weighing my options. Try to forgive her, work through this, and hope she was genuinely sorry, or cut her out completely, accept that it was the end and start over. I knew that staying in a relationship with her after everything would be near impossible. How could I trust her again? How could I look at her without feeling like a fool? One night I sat her down again. This time I told her I needed honesty, no more lies, no more manipulations. I asked her to tell me everything, the truth about how long she'd been with Tom, whether she still planned to keep the baby, and whether she truly loved me or just used me as a backup. She looked at me with that bitchy little smirk like she thought she could handle this. Then she started to lie again. She said she was sorry, that it was just a mistake, and that she never thought it would get this far. But I wasn't buying it anymore. Her words felt empty, rehearsed, like she was just trying to save face. I realized at that moment that there was no coming back from this. Her lies, her betrayal, her secret life with Tom, and the pregnancy, it all added up to one thing: she was done with us. Maybe she didn't love me anymore, or maybe she never did. Either way, I knew I couldn't stay in this situation. I told her she needed to pack her things and leave. I needed space to figure out what I wanted from my life now. That night I stayed up late, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. The pain was intense. I felt like I'd lost my future, my trust, my sense of stability. But at the same time, I felt a strange sense of relief. Finally, I was taking control of the situation. I was no longer going to be a victim of her lies. I decided I'd give myself some time to heal, to process what had happened, and to figure out how to move forward. In the end, I realized that forgiveness might not come easily, or maybe not at all. But what I knew for sure was that I had learned a lot about myself. I learned that trust is fragile, that some betrayals cut so deep they leave scars you carry forever, and that sometimes the only way to truly move on is to let go of the past. Right now, I'm still figuring out what that means for me, but one thing's clear: I'll never look at love the same way again. If there's one thing I want others to take from this, it's that honesty is everything, and if it's broken, sometimes the only thing left to do is walk away. Since she left, I've tried to piece my life back together, but honestly, some days are harder than others. The trust I once had in her and in myself is gone, replaced with a kind of cautious skepticism I never imagined I'd feel. I find myself questioning everything, every little detail, every smile, every word. It's like I see the world differently now, knowing that the person I thought I knew was capable of such deception. I've come to understand that betrayal cuts deeper than I ever thought possible. It's not just about cheating or a pregnancy. It's about the loss of the future we envisioned together. It's about realizing that the person you loved and trusted might have been a stranger all along. I won't pretend I'm completely over it. Some wounds are too fresh, some scars too visible. But I'm learning to live with the pain, to accept that sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away and rebuild, whether that's alone or someday with someone new. Looking back, I wish I had seen the signs earlier, but I also recognize that love can blind you, sometimes so much that you don't see the cracks until it's too late. If there's any lesson I'd want to pass on, it's this: pay attention, trust your instincts, and never ignore the small red flags. If someone is hiding things, lying, or acting differently, don't dismiss it. Because when the truth finally comes out, it might hit you harder than you ever expected. I don't know where life will take me from this point, but I do know one thing: I am done being a victim. I will find a way to move forward, to heal, and to rebuild a sense of trust, not necessarily in her, but in myself. Because if this ordeal has taught me anything, it's that resilience is born from pain. And someday, I believe I'll look back at this chapter of my life and see it as the catalyst that finally made me stronger. That's all I can say for now. The road ahead might be long, but I'm starting it by taking one step at a time. I guess I just want anyone reading this to know they're not alone if they're going through something similar. Trust is fragile, love is complicated, and betrayal is one of the hardest things to survive. But somehow, life goes on, and so will I.